Full name is Kathleen Julie Jackson, and I'm 60. I turned 60 May 21st. I was born in 1947. I remember thinking when I was a young teenager that 21 was so old and surely I'd be dead by then. I mean, I remember when my aunt turned 30 and I thought, oh my God. So 60 seems like I should be smarter and wiser and more venerable and have my life together and all of that. But I've got my head around it. I've decided now that I'm going to be a mentor. I like that. So that's my goal. Well, I was born in North Tonawanda near Buffalo. I was pronounced dead when I was born. I was a single-foot breech baby. I was kind of a miracle baby, and that was a great way to start because it gives you a great gratitude for life. I think that really said, well, somebody likes me up there. I don't know. I just felt it was a great blessing. I was a good student. I loved to learn. I always thought it was a kick. I always wanted to do my best. I was good at it. But I always loved to read. I was always a very bookish kid. And I came from a family of readers. My mother had trained as a teacher. I loved to write. I won a few writing contests. That was fun. I went to Wellesley, and I was Hillary's classmate.
Really?
We were in the same dorm for 2 years. We were friends. But I was an English major, and she was a poli-sci major. So we didn't take classes together, but we used to eat together and went out for coffee. And I was very frightened the first year because I was with people who had wonderful educations, Greek and very different kind of education than I'd had. Very different people, very different world. When I say it was a transition for me, I would say, I was a public school kid. I was from a middle-class family. My father always had 2 jobs until my mother went to work when I was about 6. Going to Wellesley was a tremendous change in my life, probably the biggest change. It gave me the kind of education that changed my life. My parents were very proud, that I got in there. I was on scholarship. They had to sell our piano to help pay for it. They had to sell some furniture. I remember when my husband first came to meet my parents, we didn't have a whole lot of furniture in the house. It was very hard for them, but they were very proud. I was elected to Phi Beta Kappa when I was a freshman. They liked that. I had an honors degree in English, and by the time I graduated, I was married. That was a transition.
Yeah.
I met my husband when I was a freshman. I was 18, and he was 22. We got married at the end of my junior year. My parents were worried because they thought I wouldn't finish college. But it made it a lot easier for us, really. It was such a different time. It was 68. And it was very difficult to live off campus. And it was funny. Wellesley still had on the books the laws from the 1800s that said if you were married and your husband was away and you were living on campus, you had to have permission from the parents of the other women to be there because you might tell the secrets of marriage. Then he finished his PhD, and we had applied for jobs in graduate school, and UCLA was the place that we both got into. I did teach. I started teaching second year, and I was a teaching fellow and a research assistant. I did everything, and it was part of my support. My ambition is to teach. I love teaching. I love learning from students. It gives me great joy to see improvement in students. I started having kids when I was in graduate school. We were married for about 7.5 years before we had kids. And that was a plan. I wanted to be able to travel with Dave. And I also wanted to finish classes and at least get started on my dissertation before we had children. I think becoming a parent is the greatest transition I've ever had. I think it's very important for children to see their parents working, but to also know that, they're primary. I don't want children to feel that they are responsible for my happiness. My happiness comes from my own work, my own career. And I want them to know that they can go on and they don't need to feel that I won't be happy. And they know that. I feel badly when I see my adult female students having difficulties with empty nest syndrome. I want them to be strong in their own lives because I've seen it with my husband too. If you live with a man who loves his own work and is very, very busy at it, you have to have your own renewal and your own sources of renewal. And I've made it my business to do that. I don't think you want your partner feeling a weight. You want your partner feeling great joy in your own life. I think you bring to the table a lot of strength when you are fulfilled in your own separate lives, whether it's paid work or an avocation, as long as it's something that you love. We're very blessed. Both of us love what we do. And we've always tried to say to our kids, money costs too much. Money's too expensive. It's a great servant, but a poor master. That's what we've tried to model in our lives, that loving what you do gives you juice for life. And you have to find that. And I really believe that work is, another great writer said, the ballast in the ship of life. It's a discipline. It gives you grounding. I much prefer teaching book groups, teaching for Elder Hostel, which is what I'm doing now. I love being self-employed. Because I can, as I say, pick up and go. I would not have been able to live in England, Japan, New Zealand, Switzerland, and Italy if I hadn't been self-employed.
Explain book groups. I'm assuming it's book clubs. We're talking about people meeting at a home.
Yes.
What do you do?
Well, I try to make it my job to bring thoughtful questions to open the text up for everybody and to see how it's put together. You know, my training is in writing and editing and in studying literature, so I'm trying to help people see how the composition, how the deep structure of whatever we're reading makes them feel and think about the book. So in other words, to unpack it, as they say. Because I think the more you know about the skill involved in the words, the more joy you take in the effect. I mean, it's a great, great joy to appreciate the creativity and technique in writing. And I try to make teaching as much fun as possible. I dress up, I bring props. I ask everyone to think of the props they would bring for this book, and people have fun doing that. And the more fun you have, the better you remember it. Part of my goal is, to proselytize for the joy of reading. I think the better informed and the better skilled the readers are, the more they want to read, because they see how much it opens up their minds, their lives, their feelings, the way they read the world, the way they read other people. Reading is a great tool. It's a great sustenance. It's a great companion. That saying that book lovers never go to bed alone. Nothing makes me happier than to see people really love a book and have it change their lives. I'd like to encourage more people to use language well and to use it expressively. I hope I get smarter and wiser and thinner. I'd like to be thinner. And I hope I die with my face in a book. I hope in front of a class. That would be great.